Hey, hey, good people. Good people. Hey, hey. Welcome to Miss LeAnnyaa's Third Eye 13. And to break that down, Leanne is my given name. Miss Leanne is my professionalized, or my also known as SAG-AFTRA name. And Ya is my Thursday born Akan day name. So LeAnnyaa is my adopted name, living in Ghana. And this is where you'll get my third eye view on any number of things in 13 minutes. 13 being my favorite number. So, again, welcome in. Okay, so this being my first content in quite some time, I do feel compelled to share what has motivated me to dive in completely on this. And it really starts about 18 years ago. I took an introduction to science and mind class, and that planted a major seed for how things have gone since. So, my New Year's resolution in 2006 was to uncover my purpose. Why am I here? And so I was basically telling any and everyone that I came across. And most people, naturally trying to be helpful, would ask, like, what are you passionate about? So then that left me even more conflicted because I didn't really know what I was passionate about. I didn't really know what drove me and what excited me. But what did come about in that summer was a vision. I had a vision for a quote unquote spiritually based problem solving talk radio show. And I say quote unquote because that was how it came to me. And then over the years, more and more time passed, I understood really what that was meant to look like. Okay, now fill me on this. In 2006, this was well before it became all the rage and was a part of everybody's messaging, from Steve Harvey to Oprah to Deepak Chopra and so on and so on. But then when I started listening to Uncle Steve, and his advice was that our purpose is actually tied not to our passions but to our gifts, which he describes as the things that we do best with the least amount of effort. And so it didn't take very long for me to realize that my strongest gift is actually listening. And as my granny would say, listening is the key to learning. And so when I had to look at that and really analyze that, it made sense why I had always been a naturally strong learner and good student. And then so as my purpose parade moved along, any and everywhere I went, I was having a conversation with a brother that I had met in the same social group. And basically, he was sharing that the cycle of education is not complete until the student can become the teacher. So then, when I put all of those things together, it sort of became clear that my purpose would have to, in some way, involve teaching. But the trip is that in order to keep the lights on while I was chasing Hollywood dreams, I was already teaching at the time. And basically, I was doing it as a means to an end, and then it became a career position, and I just wasn't fulfilled by the work. So then I had to kind of reconcile that. Like, I loved my students and I was a great teacher according to all of my classroom support. And I met this guy. He asked me what I did for regular money, basically. That's the whole thing because very few people are working actors. But he asked me what I did, and I told him that I taught special education. And so he was like, oh, wow, that's ministry work you're doing. And I sort of just like, oh, it is? Oh, okay. All right. So I tucked that away. But it was just so disheartening because I was good at it. It was purpose work, obviously, but it wasn't fulfilling. So then going back to the vision that I had for the talk radio show, that prompted me to do a lot of development toward that end. So I went back to school for a graduate program in conflict resolution. And while I was doing that, I started producing and hosting shows on the university station, and I was also working part time at KGLH, the station owned by Stevie Wonder. And actually, my first position there, I was working directly with him, which was, mind blowing. But after finishing my program, what I had to show for it was just letters behind my name and a student loan debt that I hadn't had before. Like, I didn't have student loan debt out of undergrad, but I just could not find a professional position. And maybe it was because I was looking specifically to work in public affairs radio, but I couldn't find a job. So, with so much more to the story, I'll just jump to the summer 2019. So, 13 years after my vision, I got rid of everything I had except for 2 boxes and a trunk that I sent across country to my mother's house. And then I left LAX with like an oversized duffel and a large roller. And a week after that, I left ATL for Kotoka International Airport in Accra, Ghana. So I was meant to be in Ghana for a year, and that 1 year turned into 2.5 years. Why? Because 3 months after I got there, the first case of the pandemic went live in Wuhan. And then 4 months after that, it had become a global crisis. And my thought was, why on earth would I run back into a burning building? I'm going to stay here, shelter in. It's safer to stay here. But one thing that experience taught me is that for all of the many challenging periods that I've gone through in my life has always moved in a way that is divinely appointed. Everything that has happened has been for my soul's evolution. And an excellent example of that is less than 2 weeks before I was set to leave, I met the shaman. He and I were presenting on a panel together. So he became someone who now I am still in touch with, who now I still rely on his wisdom a lot. Anyway, I went and sat with him and we talked, and he said that my long sought after purpose was to teach people the value of purpose, the value of living a life in and on purpose. So, although you'll get my third eye view on various topics, I now will do what I can to awaken in as many folks as possible the power of the divine within and the reason for their souls experiencing this physical realm. So my plan is to post new content Thursday. Thursday, basically having an affinity for Thursday as a Thursday born, and or Sunday, being it's in keeping with my original show vision. And this is proving to be a variation. So Thursday and or Sunday, and on the 13th of each month. And my biggest aspiration is to eventually host all of my beloved, what I'm calling thriving 13th babies. The eighth wonder of the world, Mr. Stevie Wonder, May 13th. Auntie Whoopi Goldberg, November 13th. And the September 13th trifecta, Miss Young Van Zant, Mr. Tavis Smiley, and Mr. Tyler Perry. So if you would please touch and agree with me on this, I thank you very much now, affirming and believing that you already have, and if you haven't, that you will. So that's going to do it for now, but next time I'll share some of my chat with Mr. Hill Harper. And basically, without even knowing, and I really didn't even know at the time, he spoon fed my mission on the power of purpose. And I can't wait for you all to hear it. It's pretty awesome. Until then, though, it would be fantastic if you would like this video, then subscribe or follow my channel, and then get notices when I do post new content. So with that, I sincerely appreciate that you took the time to hear me out. And I affirm that, be it by divine appointment, you'll hear me the next time as well. So I release it now to the source to be done. And so it is. Amen and Ashe.